Let's hit the
It
field.
is Wednesday, April 2nd, and the Yankees were taking on the Diamondbacks in the middle game of a three-game set. We got Terrence Kemp on the show tonight. We'll go over the game, and we'll do a little bit of State of the Yankees. Early returns, 5 games in. This is Pinstripe Territory.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
All right, let's go. Let's get it going.
Well, we're doing it a little bit different tonight because we got Terrence Kemp on the show. I was on the watch party with Cameron Maben and Scott Braun watching this one. And I'll tell you what, that was a tough performance by the Yankees up until the 9th inning there, TK.
Yeah, that was kind of brutal to watch. Rocky first couple innings for Rodon there. And Zach Gallen absolutely mowing the Yankees down. He's a great pitcher, Derek. I think he's probably easily top 10 in the game right now. Diamondbacks just have a great staff all around, to be honest. But the knuckle curve was just filthy. He's painting the black. He's not even like a guy with really overpowering stuff, but he's about like 95, 96, which is just hard enough if you know how to locate to be really effective. I think he struck out Judge 3 times tonight. So really not what we've been seeing, I guess, the first 3 games of the year. But, Derek, I think I'm going to kind of chalk it up. Cold night in the Bronx. It's hard to kind of get it going. I think it's supposed to be in the 70s tomorrow night, funny enough. So hopefully they can kind of get a W and avoid the sweep.
Yeah, for a home run hitting team, cold weather is tough. It's tough to hit home runs in cold weather. Carlos Rodon tonight, let's talk about him. He was excellent, obviously, on opening day. Today, I felt like he just didn't have the command. I felt like his body language was bad. I mentioned it on the watch party. When things start to go not his way, like there was that comebacker that hit off his glove. You know, there was a couple of calls that he thought he should have got that he didn't. You know, obviously the 2-run home run by Gurriel. I just felt like he was in a bad, negative place. But to his credit, he settled down there at the end. I had over 5.5 strikeouts for him as my Nostraderic pick, and I also had over a half of an extra base hit for Jason Dominguez as my other Nostraderic pick. So 0 for 2 for Nostraderic. So tough night, tough night. Dominguez, man, he had a brutal night after a really good night last night where he probably would have won the belt if the Yankees won. Man, he has never seen a curveball like that in his life.
Again, I think it's a cold weather thing. It's like those Dominican guys are not used to the Northeast baseball, man, like that. So he's a young kid. I think he'll kind of get it together. He is weaker from the right side. He had a couple brutal at-bats against a lefty. I'd say it's way too early for him to give up on switch hitting. I think he keep it going.
Oh, yeah.
But I wonder if it'll, like, let's say, Derek, let's just live in a world right now where it's like 2-3 years from now where, you know, he's really good as a lefty and he's kind of so-so as a righty. I wonder if the Yankees would kind of pull him, do the Oswaldo, where he's allowed to hit righty against certain lefties, and certain lefties he's going to hit lefty. I don't really know. But for right now, I think he's young. You're just going to have to be patient and, you know, kind of take your growing pains with him and just give him a lane. Make sure he has at-bats and time. Kind of how they treated Volpe his rookie year. Just give him time and make sure that he knows you're behind him. And I think it'll come together for him eventually. It's just a matter of time.
So you're a Hollywood guy, and one of my favorite movies is Apollo 13. And there's this scene where everything is going wrong with their little spaceship, and it's leaking oxygen, and, you know, all the light, they got no power, and it's got carbon dioxide coming in and all this stuff. And the guy who's running the whole ship, played by Ed Harris, he goes, "What do we got on the spacecraft that's good?" So this is that portion of the game, of the podcast. What do we got on the Yankees that's good tonight? Really, Austin Wells, 2 hits, and then Volpe with the 3-run home run. TK, Volpe has as many home runs as Judge right now. And then also, Yoendris Gomez, I thought was pretty good, although he did have 3 walks and just 1 strikeout. Let's start with Volpe. I didn't see this kind of power surge coming. I mean, it's looking like he could get 30 home runs, but I don't know about the 30 bases because he doesn't hit singles anymore. All 4 of his hits are home runs.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. All 4 of his hits are home runs. I was telling Derek in the green room, my first season of travel ball, I had 2 hits all season. They were both home runs. So swing for the fences or go big or go home, I guess. But yeah, Volpe, I think, again, it'll start to kind of happen for him. Happy about the power numbers, but he hasn't really hit the ball all that much. That home run this evening, that was like a kind of a porch job, like a Yankee Stadium porch job. That's a fly out in Arizona, but a home run's a home run, and the other team plays on that field as well. But 30 home runs, even though he'll start to kind of hit more gap to gap, I think, and maybe probably get to 20 this season if he kind of keeps up hitting home runs like this. But with him, it's a funny thing, man, because like last season, I think he hit like 11 or 12. In his rookie year, he hit like 21, like something kind of along those lines. And I think with him, what's going to be weird as well is you got to be gap to gap. I think for Volpe, it's don't I'm happy about the home runs, but it's like not his game. It's not his player archetype, and I feel like it's almost going to kind of work against him. Defense is still very solid. He's still very athletic, and the torpedo bat seems to be working for him. But look, home run's a home run. I'll take it. Something about those last ninth inning home runs where you lose by 1 run is a little kind of disheartening, where you kind of get juiced up and you're like, oh, okay, we might get something going here, and then you lose.
Yeah.
But again, with him, it's like this is the year to show it for me. Show me. This is what his 3rd year in the league.
Yeah, tough
It's
night
time.
for the Yankees. I thought Cody Bellinger looked good in the outfield. He's looking tremendous out there on defense. Offensively, he was 1 for 4, so hitting .294. Goldschmidt in a little bit of a funk after a really hot start. 0 for 4 tonight with a couple of strikeouts in the leadoff spot. Ben Rice, he had no chance tonight. He looked just as bad as Dominguez. I mean, this is one of those games where, you talk about the jump from the minors to the majors, from AAA to the major leagues being such a huge jump. It's against stuff like Gallen had tonight. You're looking at one of the better pitchers in the league on a tough night to hit, on a night where he had his best stuff, his best curveball. 13 strikeouts, just 3 hits allowed against an offense that has been tearing the cover off the ball. It doesn't surprise me that the young guys really struggled. I kind of would expect that. Cabrera also 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. I don't know what the hell we're doing with Pablo Reyes in the game. I don't even want Pablo Reyes on the roster. He has the weakest at bats I've ever seen, and he can't play D.
Yeah, the Pablo Reyes thing is kind of a whatever thing to me. That's like a filler. When they activate Stanton, I think I expect him to get DFA'd or sent down or whatever. It's just like a body on the bench, if you will. But I kind of Derek to me tonight. I feel like it's like a product of a cold night. Especially, I'll ask you this, Derek. So Carlos Rodon comes out, right, and he's wearing like nothing under. He likes to have like the chest hair come out of his like the Luke Voigt, if you will. He does the Luke Voigt with his jersey. And I've pitched in cold games in New York myself. And I remember there was this one game where I made the mistake of not kind of bundling up, and it was freezing. And your hands start to kind of stiffen up, and the ball feels like a cue ball from a pool table. It's slick. You can't really grip it. You're doing this all the time. You're blowing in your hand to try to get something. And then he got the ball off his forearm, and he like put on the sleeves. And I feel like if he started with the sleeves, it's just that extra warmth in a condition like that allows you to kind of grip the ball a little bit better and be a little bit more effective. Gallen was just Gallen tonight.
I was going to say, well, both pitchers have to pitch in the same conditions, and no disrespect to your pitching career at, Westchester Middle School or whatever, but they have heated dugouts. They, he goes into the clubhouse and sits in 75-degree temperatures. He puts on probably a jersey that they just got out of the dryer every single time. They have all sorts of ways to keep this guy, and also the adrenaline of pitching in a big league game, and he's getting paid a lot of money. I don't want to hear excuses here. Enough of this game. Let's talk a little bit about what the Yankees have looked like over the course of the first 5 games. Just kind of go through our main takeaways, and I figured this would be a good night since there wasn't a lot of action to recap, that we could pull up some comments from the chat. We got Scotty Braun in the chat, and just kind of take some topics that you guys want to feed us. But just what are your thoughts on overall the offense so far? Because we've seen obviously the 9 home run game, but then we see a night like tonight. Is it, are we reliant on the home run again? Is that going to be a problem?
No, I don't think they're going to be relying on the home run again, but I think this offense might be a little streaky. I think it's going to be a little Jekyll and Hyde this season where, one game they look like, Murderer's Row, back in the 20s, and one game they're going to be anemic. Again, Zach Gallen is a great pitcher. I'm not going to take
You have
anything
an
away
interesting
from
way of pronouncing Gallen. That's it. Come
Gallen,
on.
Galen. I've heard both, but Gallen, sure. But he is a great pitcher. He's, again, like I said, top 10 in the league. The knuckle curve was filthy tonight. Like, he just had it going. But I think they're going to be kind of hot and cold. They're going to be a streaky offense. I kind of think that's going to be the theme throughout the whole year, where they'll have an offensive explosion and then they'll be pretty quiet. And that's kind of what we've seen from this Yankee team in the last few years in terms of being a streaky team. Like, they get off to a really great start, and then they're one of the worst teams in baseball in like July, and then they're kind of okay. And then you get to the playoffs and everyone asks the same question: will the real Yankees show up? Slim Shady. Which one are you? Are you the best team in baseball, or are you not? So I think it's just going to kind of be probably more of the same this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Volpe thing is super interesting. We just had a comment from Scott. Is Volpe going to hit 30 home runs? And think about it this way. If he does go 30-30, but he hits 220, like, how many 30-30 shortstops are out there, and I can't imagine him having a super high on base percentage, if he hits like he's hitting now, just dropping bombs and playing great D, but not really doing much else offensively. What does that look like for his contract? What does that look like for his value over the course of the season? Like, I have no idea what that will look like in WAR. He's already going to have a positive WAR because of the defense. But what is, a Joey Gallo type of season offensively as a shortstop look like? That'd be interesting.
A Joey Gallo type of season. That's brutal, man. But 220 is better than a Joey Gallo type of season. But I think for him, 30-30 is not, like you said, not a lot of shortstops can do that. And I think you're right on the money, man, with the California flag in there. But who's a shortstop going to do it? Like Ellie De La Cruz probably goes 30-30. Bobby Witt goes 30-30. So those are some pretty elite names that you're throwing out there. The difference with them is that they're going to hit closer to 300, not
Right.
220. And they're going to play sparkling defense, and so does Volpe. He's won a Gold Glove. And they basically are Volpe, but better, where they hit 30-30. They have sparkling defense. They're really athletic. They're really fast, but they're going to hit closer to 300. And they're more of like a name. I don't know. They got more star power than Volpe does, if that makes sense to you, Derek.
Yeah. Tony Torpedo, that's got a T-shirt ring to it.
It's not bad, actually.
That's I might have to copyright that, trademark that real quick. So, all right. Ben Rice obviously had a tough night, but we talked about him a lot on the show over the last few days. He's been torching the baseball when he makes contact.
Yeah.
Obviously he had trouble with Gallen's breaking ball, but home run last night off a lefty, home run on Sunday into the second deck. I'm feeling pretty bullish on Ben Rice right now.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a really solid season, a really solid year. I know he was a tough night tonight, obviously, but I really like the way he's swinging the bat. I think the extra weight that he put on in the offseason is really going to help him, especially with those kind of borderline fly balls that he had last season where they're like warning track power. I think more of those will go over the fence. And Ben Rice, hot take, 25 bombs this season.
They got 27 out of Stanton last year. It'll be interesting. What if June 15th rolls around, okay? And Ben Rice has got 10, 15 home runs over the first couple of months. How do you pull him out of the lineup for Giancarlo? I mean, you might have to platoon Ben Rice versus righties and Stanton versus lefties. That probably keeps Stanton healthier. Yeah. But that would be an interesting scenario.
Dude, that was something that Aiden and I, shout out Aiden, we're kind of discussing, where I was just like, how are you going to take Ben Rice's bat out of the lineup if he's hitting the cover off the ball by the time that Stanton gets activated? And we were kind of talking back and forth about it, where it's probably going to be like a platoon situation where they might, they'll catch Rice and they'll DH Stanton and they'll give Wells a day off, or they'll DH Goldschmidt and put Rice at first, or they'll give Goldschmidt the day off and something like that, or Bellinger. They'll move it around. But I kind of feel like, unfortunately, these problems have a way of figuring themselves out, kind of like the pitching staff, where somebody's going to end up getting hurt. And you're just going to kind of plug and play that way. Like maybe Goldschmidt gets hurt. And in that case, then you probably move Bellinger to first or you put Ben Rice at first rather. And it'll kind of figure itself out. But I really do think Ben Rice is going to have a good year. And I want him to keep getting at bats, keep getting time, keep seeing major league pitches. Cause again, I don't think he's ever seen anything like that Gallen, Zach Gallen curveball tonight. I don't think he's ever seen anything like that. And he just needs reps. That's it. And again, I think 25 home runs, I think is on the table for Ben Rice.
Yeah. I'm liking what we're seeing so far from Jazz at second base, just defensively. Forget about the home runs, the offense. He's obviously struck out a lot the last couple of days, but I think he just looks way smoother over there. The range is going to be better than Gleyber Torres. The arm is better than Gleyber Torres. They've definitely turned a lot more smoother, turns over there. But I don't think they've turned more than one or two double plays. But even the ones that they've missed out on, it just, it's like a pinball machine, right, at second base. They turn it much quicker than Gleyber used to.
Oh, yeah. It's been a treat to watch him at second. And honestly, give him credit. Like, he did a pretty solid job at third for a position that he's never played before. And I remember when he was down in Miami, that one season they just kind of plugged him out in center. I don't think he had really played the outfield all that much, and he did a pretty solid job. I don't think he's a plus outfielder, but he's definitely serviceable out there. He's just a great athlete. I think he honestly could learn any position on the field. And yes, it's becoming more apparent, especially since Gleyber Torres, I think, is on the IL with like an oblique or something like that. But it's becoming more apparent that letting Gleyber Torres walk is, in fact, the correct move, and moving Jazz over to second. The middle infield defense looks really good. It's a lot better than it was last season. I think the defense as a whole is probably much better this season than it was last season. Even Bellinger, like you said earlier in the show, he had a couple great catches out in center. So I'm liking a lot what I see from Jazz right now.
Here's an interesting thing. Peraza goes deep. I think it was, the second game of the season, his first at bat, he goes deep. And we haven't seen him since. We keep seeing Pablo Reyes. What do they have against Oswald Peraza?
Yeah, I know, right? Like they don't.
It seems personal. It seems personal.
It is kind of weird, man. It is a little weird. I don't know. You're gonna hear Boone go like, "Well, that wasn't like the right lane for him," or use some like analytic spiel like that. But has he even gotten a start yet, Derek, at third?
No. I want him and Oswaldo Cabrera platooning at third base for the time being. I think you can replace Reyes with somebody who can give you a little bit more value, even if it's somebody like Duke Ellis who can steal a base late in the game or something right now. Until we get this roster fully healthy and clicking, Reyes just doesn't seem like somebody who can help us out too much.
No, I really, he's a journey. What is he, 30 years old? He's kind of bounced around. He's kind of a journeyman player. Again, I think it's just like a body on the bench. Somebody put this on the chat. I'd almost rather have Dom Smith on the team over Pablo Reyes. There's less versatility there. He plays less positions, but as an offensive force and as a veteran, just...
Yeah. I mean, he might be kind of a redundant bat. You really need a right-handed hitter. I think that's what they're going for. I think Peraza, if you just let him hit against more lefties, he might do the job. But right now, not looking too good for the Yankees. Tough night. They struck out, 15 times tonight, and they didn't draw a walk, did they? They didn't walk at all. They struck out 16 times.
Yeah,
and they didn't draw a walk. That's a fugly night. That's a fugly night. TK, there's not much more that we can beat on this dead horse. It's kind of glue at this point, but you're headed off to Paris, and you're going to film some content for us in front of the Eiffel Tower. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then when you get back, when will you be back, first of all?
So I fly back April 10th, and from that point on, I think Derek and I have discussed a little bit of a consistent day for me, but I'm ready to be locked in for the rest of the ride of the season. Excited. Yeah. It's going to be a good one. I think that this is a good team, despite losing the person who will not be named. But I'm excited to get some stuff. Going to Paris tomorrow night, and you guys will see something in front of probably the Eiffel Tower, maybe something else, whatever we're doing. But we got a lot of fun things planned for this season. We do.
Well, good luck, TK. I wouldn't want to get on a plane right now. I wouldn't want no chance. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next time, TK. Thanks once again. And tough night for the Yankees. We'll see you tomorrow after the game. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.